The more you reflect, the more the world seems to pull away. The deeper your understanding grows, the more people seem to distance themselves. This isn't just in your head, it's a pattern woven throughout human history. Society has always been uneasy around those who think deeply, not because deep thinkers are wrong, but because they uncover truths others would rather ignore. Look back through the centuries, from Confucius in ancient China to Kierkegaard in Denmark, from Spinoza to Simone of Weil. Thinkers who challenged the status quo were often cast out, misunderstood, or silenced, not because they lacked wisdom, but because they rattled the comfortable cages people had built for themselves. But why does this happen? Why does society resist those who dare to see the world differently? To answer that, we need to understand a fundamental aspect of human psychology. Picture this. When you stand beside someone who's physically stronger than you might feel a twinge of envy, but you often admire their strength. When you meet someone who's wealthier, you might aspire to follow in their footsteps, but it doesn't usually challenge your core identity. Yet when you encounter someone whose mind cuts deeper, someone whose ideas slice through illusions like a blade through fog, something shifts. Psychologists call this the reflection effect. A deep thinker doesn't just share new ideas, they force others to see their own limitations, and that makes people uncomfortable in a way that few other things do. It's not about arrogance or showing off. Even a silent, contemplative presence can provoke this reaction. Because deep thinkers, by their very nature, hold up a mirror that reveals the flaws, inconsistencies, and shallowness we'd rather leave in the dark. So why does intelligence, more than any other trait, provoke such discomfort? To understand this, we have to look at how humans process different kinds of excellence. When we meet someone with physical strength, we might admire them as a leader or protector. When we encounter wealth, we might admire their success or seek to learn from them. These traits, strength, wealth, beauty, are external, and they don't always challenge our core beliefs about ourselves. But intelligence is different. Intelligence is tied to our very identity. Our thoughts, beliefs, and worldview are extensions of who we are. When we meet someone who sees further, who questions what we take for granted, it can feel like a threat to our very sense of self. Instead of celebrating intelligence, many people instinctively resist it, not because the thinker is condescending, but because their presence reveals what others would rather keep hidden. That's why, throughout history, society has often pushed deep thinkers to the margins. They don't just challenge ideas, they challenge egos. And humans, by nature, will go to great lengths to shield their egos from discomfort. Think about your own experiences. Have you ever tried to bring up a complex topic in a casual conversation, only to be met with blank stares or hurried subject changes? Have you noticed how conversations often gravitate toward the shallow, avoiding anything that might pierce the surface? This isn't random, it's a defense mechanism. When people are confronted by someone who challenges their thinking, their minds often go into self-preservation mode. Instead of curiosity, they choose avoidance. Instead of engagement, they choose dismissal. This is why so many thinkers, philosophers, visionaries, and truth-seekers find themselves standing alone, not because they crave isolation, but because society quietly exiles those who refuse to settle for the status quo. Interestingly, research shows that confidence often wins out over intelligence in social situations. People are naturally drawn to those who project certainty, even if their ideas are shallow. Meanwhile, those who dare to question, who speak with nuance, often struggle to be heard. History is full of charismatic leaders who thrived on slogans and easy answers, while those who challenged assumptions found themselves silenced or ignored. The paradox is clear. The more someone pursues truth, the more isolated they often become. The reflection effect doesn't just reveal society's limitations, it also reveals why change is so slow. Because challenging the way people see the world doesn't just threaten their beliefs, it threatens their identity. So, is there scientific proof that intelligence triggers fear? Surprisingly, yes. Neuroscience has uncovered that when people feel intellectually inferior, their brain's amygdala, responsible for fear and threat detection, activates. In other words, deep thinking can actually spark a primal survival response, similar to facing a physical danger. But why would our minds treat intelligence like a threat? The answer is rooted in our evolutionary past. For most of human history, survival depended less on being the smartest person in the tribe and more on being accepted by the tribe itself. Being cast out meant vulnerability and, potentially, death. This is why human brains are wired to prioritize social acceptance over intellectual challenge. When a deep thinker enters a conversation, their very presence can disrupt the social fabric, challenging norms, questioning beliefs, and making people feel threatened. This is why many deep thinkers find that they can have meaningful one-on-one conversations, but struggle in group settings. In groups, social status takes precedence, and those who feel overshadowed by someone's intelligence often react defensively, seeking to undermine or exclude them. Psychologists have identified several biases that reinforce this resistance. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Those who know little often believe they know more than they do, leading them to dismiss deeper thinkers. Then there's status quo bias. The brain prefers the comfort of familiar ideas over the uncertainty of new ones. And the backfire effect, when confronted with evidence that challenges their beliefs. Many people double down rather than reconsider. In the age of social media, this dynamic has only intensified. Algorithms reward quick, catchy, and emotional content over thoughtful discussion. The result? Shallow ideas go viral, while deeper insights struggle to find an audience. So what does this mean for those who think deeply? The resistance they face isn't just social, it's biological, psychological, and cultural. It's a force woven into the fabric of human nature and amplified by modern technology. But that doesn't mean deep thinkers should stop sharing their insights. Instead, it means they must understand the forces they're up against. So, if society fears intelligence, what does it embrace? The answer is simple: comfort. People crave predictability and security, even at the expense of truth. Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher who saw the world with unflinching clarity, once argued that intelligence isn't a gift, but a burden. Unlike others who saw intelligence as a key to success, Schopenhauer believed that the more deeply a person sees, the harder it is for them to connect with society. He believed that most people live under the grip of what he called the will, the blind drive to survive, seek pleasure, and avoid pain. But deep thinkers are different. Instead of chasing comfort, they pursue understanding, even if it brings them pain and isolation. Where the majority seek entertainment and reassurance, deep thinkers crave truth, even when it hurts. This disconnect can make everyday interactions feel shallow and frustrating. The deeper you see into human nature, the harder it can be to tolerate the small talk, the status games, the polite deceptions that lubricate social life. In a world where simplicity and comfort often win over complexity and truth, deep thinkers find themselves facing an uphill battle. But in that struggle lies their purpose, because in a society that fears what it cannot understand, the thinker's role is to illuminate, even if it means standing alone.